With us on the line is Lad Allen. He is the co-founder of, is it Illustra or Illustra? Illustra. Okay, Illustra Media, a filmmaker. His latest project is Living Waters, Intelligent Design in the Oceans of the Earth. The website is illustramedia.com, ILLUSTRA media.com, as is the Twitter, @IllustraMedia. Lad, welcome to the program.
Thanks. Great to be here.
You know, I watched your movie this morning, and it's beautiful cinematography. I mean, this is work worthy of any good Hollywood filmmaker. But half or a third of the way into it, or something like that, you ask the question or you make the assertion: science is about the mystery, and I would say that science is about the measurement. Isn't the scientific principle about measuring things? And I mean, you ask. In fact, the big point of your movie is, how could dolphins have evolved echolocation sonar? And you make a big case for that.
Right.
I'd be glad to tell you how it happened.
Well, yeah, okay.
I'm serious. I took biology in high school and college. I'd be glad to share with you how it happened.
Okay. Okay.
You had small multicellular organisms early on. We're talking 3 billion years ago, that started developing sensory organs to respond to both sound and light and heat. Those sensory organs, the heat organs, as those organisms became more and more complex, became our afferent nerves, became our eyes, and became our ears. And in the case of dolphins, they've got ears just like we do. They don't stick out of their bodies, but they have the ability to basically their skin is the equivalent of our eardrum, and they spit out a sound and they listen to it coming back. I mean, we can do that. You walk into an empty room, you walk into one of these haunted houses places, and you talk and you hear the echo coming back. And if you're in a crazy place, a round room, you can't tell where it came from. If you're in a square room, you can easily tell where it came from. Echolocation is not some unique thing. It's a normal process evolved over time by many of the sophisticated animals.
Yeah, it's an incredibly complex process, as we try to point out in the film, along with a lot of other biological mechanisms. The big question is, how did these complex mechanisms come to be? And science establishments, say mainstream science, which you hear in a classroom or a collegiate biology lab, would be Darwinian evolution, small, gradual, incremental changes over time.
Well, no, that's not how people understand Darwinian evolution anymore.
No, they don't. They don't. But I think the whole understanding of it has been distorted. When you look at what it's really saying, blind, undirected processes result in these incredibly complex mechanisms.
Well, they're not blind and they're not undirected. The processes are always looking to ensure a greater chance of success for the organism. So the organisms that mutated ears were more successful than the ones that didn't, and the ones that didn't died out, and the ones that did survived, and then the ones whose ears got more sophisticated and could hear, into above or below the range of sound that we hear, they had an evolutionary advantage, so they outlived the others. And then, of course, Stephen Jay Gould came along back in the 70s with punctuated equilibrium, this theory that there are periodic bottlenecks that only mutants survive through. And that accounts for the gaps in the fossil record. It makes perfect sense. What I don't understand is why you are trying to tell principally young people and children. I would think that anybody who watched this who had taken a college biology course would be either offended or find it humorous. But why do you want to tell young people that they should disown science for religion? You're destroying the ability of young people to have a career in the sciences with this.
This isn't a religious argument. It's a scientific argument. That's the way we look at it in the film. It's not a religious film. And evidentially, I don't know how deeply you've explored the evidence, but mutations, random mutations of DNA are the grist, or the engine that drive Darwinian evolution. And what we know about these mutations, the rates they occur, what they can accomplish, they can't account for the complexity of these biological systems that we see throughout life.
That's simply not true.
Hold on. Every evolutionary scientist, from Richard Dawkins to Stephen Jay Gould, expressed wonder and amazement at the complexity of life on Earth and the fact that
count me among their numbers, lad.
Pardon?
Count me among their numbers. I look up at the sky at night, and that's my favorite time, frankly, to pray. But that doesn't mean that I think that my particular version of the Bronze Age sky god created all this. I mean, you know, one of the things I thought about doing for this conversation between you and me was pulling up the Norse gods and saying, okay, I'm with you. You know, one of the sky gods created everything. I think it was Loki. Which one do you think it was?
I don't think it was a Norse god, okay?
Why couldn't it be a Norse god? Why does it have to be a Jewish god?
Why does it have to be? I think, well, to begin with, back up a second. What we're looking at initially, science can't identify the designer, okay? Can't identify.
So it could be Loki.
We're not making that claim in the film, okay? The film doesn't deal with the identity of the designer itself. It deals with the evidence, and evidentially, what we're seeing in biology, what we're seeing in cosmology, what we're seeing in astronomy, is greater and greater evidence for design, not a Darwinian evolution.
No, you're seeing greater and greater evidence of complexity, and over time, complexity happens. I mean, it's the antithesis of entropy.
What's the best explanation for it? Darwinian evolution, by definition, is blind. It doesn't know where it's going. It has no.
By definition, Darwinian evolution is always looking for the improved chance of survival.
You make it sound like it can decide. It's making decisions into the future. These are random mutational changes that occur.
If I've got a street out in front of me that is angling downward at 2 degrees from here down to the river, to the Potomac River, and I go out and I throw 100 marbles out in the street, some of them are going to make it all the way down the street to the river. Some of them are going to go into the gutter. Some of them are going to go into the sewer. You know, it is quote random, right? But when you get down to the river where the 4 or 5 marbles finally made it all the way, are you going to say, oh, an intelligent creator made that happen?
No, what I'm going to say is that the mutation rates alone, if you look at a system, at the end of the film, if you watched it all the way through, we look at one of the standard iconic explanations for how Darwinism works, and this is an evolution of whales, land mammals crawling into the ocean, becoming whales.
Right.
What we know about this is that the mutation rates alone, right now, evolutionary science puts a time frame on that.
There's a pretty good consensus that whales probably came about as the result of a bottleneck event, some giant, you know. But
look at the science. I mean,
that's what I'm doing. I mean, you're looking at the religion.
You need a certain type of mutation to make any big change.
So let me get this right, Lad Allen. You do not take antibiotics because you know that bacteria don't mutate.
I'm not saying that mutations don't occur.
Okay, so you're saying the bacteria don't evolve. The Darwinian evolution does not account for why we have H157, H. pylori 157, excuse me, E. coli 150, H157.
You're missing the point. Okay, Darwinian evolution can explain small microevolutionary changes within species. It can't explain the big jumps. It can't explain how you get.
No, but if you add Gould's punctuated evolution hypothesis to it, it explains it perfectly. All right. Lad Allen, he's the co-founder of Illustra Media. The website is illustramedia.com, as is their Twitter. Lad, thanks.
Hey, thank you.
Good talking with you.